Isn't change wonderful? The uncertainty, the unknown. It can be overwhelming, especially after a lot of hard work to get to a certain point. But I'm willing to wager that if you look back over the course of your life, you will see that it was a massive change that shaped you the most. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Pursuit of Value podcast. We are glad you are here. I want to apologize for taking so long in between uploads and episodes. I've been traveling for 3 weeks. It was good travel, good business travel, but I did not have time to do anything. So it's good to be back. All right. Now, last episode, we talked about the good tension of urgency in business. We looked at good tension and bad tension and how good tension can be a healthy urgency that will fuel your organization if managed correctly. Today, we will be discussing the good tension of change in business. Now, the intent here is to help you see why the discomfort of change is actually a good thing and how you can harness it to build a stronger, more adaptable business, specifically through your people. Now, the goal is to transform the anxiety of workplace change into a powerful driver for growth, innovation, and employee development. And the key here is employee development. However, there's a problem. Most people resist change because our brains crave predictability. This fear response can sabotage even the best planned initiatives, making it tough for organizations to adapt and thrive. Now, the solution is we have to learn to embrace the good tension of change by building a culture that welcomes it, supports your people, and turns discomfort into progress. And it's really all about reframing what change is. Now, the key message isn't just that change is inevitable. It's the birthplace of growth. Again, to reframe what change is. If you manage it well, the tension it brings can transform your company and your people for better. Now, as a business owner, we want to lean into the discomfort and use it as a competitive advantage. Now, why does change feel uncomfortable and why that's good? Change triggers anxiety because our brains are wired for routine. This discomfort is normal and signals that something meaningful is happening. The tension of change is where growth starts. It pushes teams to learn, adapt, and innovate. It pushes people to adapt, learn, and innovate. Now let's understand the fear response. The amygdala in your brain acts as an alarm system, triggering fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses. This reaction is automatic and can make clear thinking difficult during times of change. Recognizing this helps leaders emphasize and plan for natural resistance. Now, building a culture that welcomes change. You can't just announce a change and expect instant buy-in. It doesn't happen like that. We're all human and we're all going to approach change differently. And if you really pay attention to this as a leader, it's super intriguing how different people adapt to change differently. And if you remember from the last episode, we talked about personality styles. The same thing applies here. Companies that weave adaptability into their culture see breakthrough results. Now, here's some key strategies. Encourage a growth mindset. Talk about this a lot. Help people understand what it means to grow. Growth does not just happen from stagnation. You got to keep communication open and honest. Recognize and reward adaptability. A KPI should be just that people embrace change or they go into something new and different, and then you reward them for that. You have to celebrate that. And then you have to ensure that leaders model the behavior you want to see. If you have a leadership team, it starts with them. And more specifically, it starts with you. Now, here's a pro tip. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities to build resilience and innovation. If mistakes are embraced, it will lower the anxiety level when change is present. Now, change is a catalyst for employee development. This is huge. This is the biggest deal. Change is a chance for employees to build new skills and grow their careers. The best companies personalize development to connect change to individual goals. Now, when we sit down with a new employee, one of the things we want to do is ask them, what is your goal for the next 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years? And then you can list that out, what their desires are, and then you can build an individual development program around that. When people feel supported, they're more likely to embrace change and stay engaged. Now, over my career, most of the employees that I have challenged to try something new, a new role, a new way of doing things, the ones that embraced it all became better, moved up in their careers. Now, I'm not saying it was smooth. There was a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth in a lot of this, but I will tell you that the ones that embraced it, they always went up in their careers because they built the resilience and they were willing to change. However, some freaked out and are still stuck in the same position because it's all about a willingness to grow, to be uncomfortable, and also be willing to fail. And when you look at change, there's two components going on. There's the willingness to be uncomfortable tied into the willingness to fail. And that's hard for a lot of people, specifically if they're insecure and they don't have a solid identity in who they are. They do not want to fail. It's a huge fear of theirs. And to be uncomfortable, that just amplifies it 10x. So something to think about. Now, innovation and growth, the payoff of good tension. I've been a part of many companies that brought me in to instill change. Some thrived, some ran away. I want to be sensitive here because of the fear, because it is a big deal. Think about this for a moment. If you're a business owner and you built a company over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and then you think you want to innovate, you want to do a pivot or massive change, then you hit this wall of the unknown. It can be really scary because you put your whole life into this business, and when you have an uncertainty of that, that's a big deal. And so we want to be aware of that. But the business owners that lean into it, plan effectively, strategize accordingly, they're the ones that are successful because they're willing. And that's what's key. I've seen a lot of good, smart, successful business owners turn tail and run from change. I've seen it time and time again. For some, it was appropriate. For others, it wasn't. And they missed out on big opportunities. All right, managing change, turning tension into triumph. Effective change management isn't about luck. It's about having a plan. Now, you have to communicate the why behind every change, and you have to be repetitive on this. Now, if there's massive change coming, you need to consistently communicate to your team that this is what's coming, this is why we're doing it. You have to tie those two together because when the uncertainty creeps in, they need to be able to default to that why you're doing it. And I got to say this again, you have to engage employees early and often. You got to communicate and you have to engage them, bring them into the conversations, ask their input, get information flowing in both directions. And then you got to provide thorough training and resources. So if this change is a technological change, you gotta be prepared with the training. Another thing you need to do is you have to align the change efforts with your culture and values. You got to make sure that you're aligned across the board with massive change. And then obviously you can use technology to automate repetitive tasks to take the load off. Because one thing you can't do, and I see this a lot, is that you have employees that have a job and then you throw in massive change. And then the expectation is, hey, do your job. No, by the way, learn this new thing, master this new thing, and then teach it to everybody else. And so you just overloaded them because they have a job they got to do, but now they have this new thing. And that creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and that will push them away. Leaders need to create psychological safety so employees can voice concerns and ask questions. Goes back to my earlier point. Communicate often. Repeat, communicate, let them know why this is going on. And then talking openly about change helps minimize uncertainty. Talk about your feelings of uncertainty or your feelings of you're not sure what's going to happen, but you know that you need to do it. You need to be very transparent in how you explain this to your team. When you frame change as growth, resistance fades and excitement grows. Talk about what can be. Talk about the potential. And here's a pro tip for leadership. It is good to talk about and gameplay some scenarios with your leadership team. Talk about what this change is going to bring. Project yourself into the future and say, hey, once this happens, we're going to be able to do this, this, and this. Talk about that. This will help them feel at ease and help them to build and help others to feel at ease. Here's the bottom line. I can tell you without a doubt, when I look back over the hardest, most challenging times in my life, they were due to massive and major change, whether it be personal or career. The biggest things in my life have happened through massive change. I could talk about that for days, but it's a fact. Now, when I was younger, I would push against it. I was arrogant. I was prideful. I thought I had it all figured out, and I never won that battle. It only made life harder, period. It never made it better thinking that I had it all handled, and it never made it better to kick against what was coming. When I decided to lean into it, that is when it all became a gift and I learned the most. I was able, and simply what it was is my mindset just turned to having a willingness. You know what? I still didn't like it. It was still uncomfortable. It was still scary, but I was willing to step into it. And that's what's key. And that's what I try to communicate to a lot of people is, man, you don't have to pretend to embrace this, but at least be willing. Change is here to stay. And yes, it can be uncomfortable, but the good tension pushes businesses, people to become better, smarter, and more resilient. When you balance the technical and human sides of change, everyone wins. So next time change knocks at your door, welcome it. It could be your next big breakthrough, not only for you personally, but for one of your team personally, and also for your business. Now, thank you so much for being here. For more insights, check out www.thepovpodcast.com. Watch us on YouTube and grab your free ebook, The Mindset Shift, How Successful Business Owners Think Differently. Season 2 is a wrap. Now, season 2 is all about company culture. Next episode, we're going to go through all of season 2 and just do a summary of all the episodes and tie it all together. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it added value to you. And remember, when change is coming, because it will, lean into it. Be willing. We'll see you next time.